Hello, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you, our esteemed panelists, speakers, and our students and parents who have joined us today. I am Nadira Hamid. I'm the CEO of the Indo-Canadian Business Chamber. And this is our first webinar series that will focus on crucial areas to help ensure smooth transition for students interested in focusing on higher studies in Canada. As we speak, the number of attendees are going up. So I'm going to go a little slow so that we get everybody here before, because our first speaker is very important, and I'm sure that everybody will want to hear him. So I'm just going a little slow, so I'll just say a little bit more about our chamber. So we are the Indo-Canadian Business Chamber, and the only chamber based in India which is dedicated to promoting, strengthening business and business economic ties between India and Canada. Education being a very important vertical for us, it is part of our responsibility to help students and parents get the right advice, and most importantly, get the right advice from the right source. Totally credible, totally legitimate. As we know, there are a lot of a lot of media publications. There are a lot of things that are being talked about students and about the place that you're going to, and what is the background there. But we want that our students should hear the right information, right messaging from people who are experts in this field. So in recent times, we have found that students are encountering some challenging situations, whether it is visa related, whether it is the change of status in financial transactions, or being ready for employment in Canada post studies. And to address these key issues around fraud, whether documentation, financial, etc., we have a fabulous group of speakers joining us today, both from Canada and India. So let me start by introducing our very important guest. It is my privilege to welcome His Excellency Sanjay Kumar Verma, High Commissioner of India to Canada. The High Commissioner and High Commission's priority is to safeguard Indian students and provide support for their welfare during their stay in Canada. In fact, High Commissioner, when you took over, and in my very first conversation with you, what you said to me was that the chamber, foremost should concentrate on helping students sensitize. So, which is why we have planned this event and planned this session. So this is entirely for you, High Commissioner Verma. It was on your suggestion, and we are very privileged to have carried out this very important function. And I will now invite you to speak and talk to our students and parents and guide them and advise them and welcome them to Canada. So, High Commissioner, over to you.
High Commissioner, I request you to unmute your mic.
Thank you, Nadira ji, for taking my suggestion on board. And I thank ICBC for having organized this event in a series of seminars and webinars to sensitize the Indian nationals who are coming here as international foreign students. If you look at Indian international students here, their numbers are the largest recruited in Canada. And every year we are seeing an increase in the number, thanks to our Canadian hosts who have been able to take them in. And the Indian students, international students who come here, they find a pathway to migrate to the next higher level and contribute to the workforce. in Canada, which is highly needed here. What I'll try to do is I'll try to structure it in two parts. One is pre-departure and another is post-arrival. When we look at the pre-departure, the very first question which an aspiring Indian student coming to Canada would be faced with is what kind of course does he want to come to Canada for? There are degree courses, but there are also non-degree courses. And at the moment, what we see is that out of 230,000 Indian international students in Canada, 115,000 come for largely non-degree courses. So it is half and half. Those who are coming to a university for degree courses, I'm not very much concerned about them because these universities are well settled. These universities have been receiving international students for a long time. They have a community built into the university itself. They have various support systems already available there. Those who are coming for so-called colleges need to be a bit aware of what they are choosing. When they come here, of course, many of them come through some kind of a recruiter or an agent. Be a bit careful on whom do you choose your education consultant or whom do you choose your so-called agent to find your pathway to Canada. Not all of them are well-minded. Not all of them wish you well. So be very, very careful. Scrutinize their authority from the concerned university and college who would have been given them a letter of consent for them being the official recruiters in India. Second thing, whenever you find any agent or recruiter talking about documents which should be submitted and you have not acquired it during your course of study and stay in India, please avoid that agent. Many times, what we see is that these agents would push you to get a piece of documentation which is either incorrect or that's not totally correct. So we have to be very careful. और ये बात मैं जो अपने स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनके पेरेंट्स से खास करके कहना चाहूँगा कि कहीं भी अगर आपको ऐसा शक होता है कि जिस एजेंट के मार्फत आप जा रहे हैं वो अगर कोई ऐसी कागजात मांगता है जो कि आपके बच्चे ने कहीं भी एक्वायर नहीं किया हो तो आप समझ लें कि वो एजेंट गलत है और तुरंत उससे दूर भाग जाएं. We have seen a number of such incidents here, though the cumulative number is not very high, but nevertheless, one single student losing the dream is big enough for us to start thinking about it. When you look at the universities or colleges for which you would come to Canada, please look at their DLI status. So what is this DLI status? This status tells you whether you'll be eligible to have a work permit in Canada if you want to work, whether you will have a pathway to even going towards the Canadian citizenship. And once again, I will repeat that our Canadian hosts are very magnanimous and they do provide this pathway for you to work in Canada and get experience in Canada. So there are those institutes which are what we call in India accredited, but here the Canadian authorities, the Canadian government do provide them with kind of a certification which will allow them or allow the students studying there to be able to work in Canada. And these are both institute-based and courses-based. So when you choose an institute, please also look at the courses you are getting enrolled for. Sometimes these courses are not what we call as accredited for you to work in Canada and try to get the Canadian experience. So please pay attention to both the institute that you are joining, the courses that you are planning to attend. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आप इंस्टीट्यूट जो चूज करते हैं वो तो आपके लिए ठीक होता है, लेकिन जब आप उस कोर्स को देखते हैं तो वो कोर्स यहाँ पर सरकार इस लायक उसको नहीं समझती है कि आप उसके मार्फत यहाँ पर वर्क परमिट या काम करने के लिए एलिजिबल हो सके. Next very important thing before you even consider enrolling into a course is looking at your finances. Ask the university, ask the college to tell you a clear breakup of what the financial responsibility for you will be. What I have found is that many of us come here and they have enough finances for first quarter, that is 3 months, and thereafter they don't have enough money to meet to get the ends meet, and that becomes a huge problem, because then that particular student, male and female both, get into entanglements which they should not have gone into. Allurements would be there. They will be asked to work below minimum wage, which is illegal in Canada, and there are possible recourses which one can take in order to address them. So please be very careful on the finances. Have your finances well in place before you consider enrolling in a Canadian course and coming here. Please remember, it's a very, very expensive country. यहाँ पर कोई भी चीज सस्ती नहीं है, और पेरेंट्स के लिए मैं खास करके कह रहा हूँ, जब आप यहाँ पर एक कमरा देखते हैं घर में, उसकी भी उसका भी जो किराया होता है, उसके भी जो रेंटल होते हैं, वो कभी भी 60,000-70,000 रुपए से कम नहीं होता है। और ये 60-70,000 रुपए के ऊपर फिर यूटिलिटीज है, ट्रांसपोर्ट है, और भी जितने खर्चे हैं खाने पीने के, वो सब उसमें इंक्लूड हो। So please pay attention to this. The rentals are very, very high, and particularly in larger cities. If you look at Vancouver, if you look at Toronto and Greater Toronto area, rentals for one bedroom would be not less than 1,000 Canadian dollars. But even there, you will find that 4 students will be sharing a room, and these rooms are not that big. So please be aware of the living conditions and accommodation. I don't want you to get frustrated once you have arrived in Canada. Generally, people think that as soon as they start their course here, they will be able to work on campus or off campus. Please remember, these days it is so difficult to find job for freshers. Even the graduates are unable to find good jobs. So be careful what you get into. Prepare yourself for possible unemployment during your study. You may not be able to earn a living outside your studies when you are a fresher here. Health, please be aware that at the moment, the Canadian health system is quite stressed out, and it is not very easy to get non-critical health support on demand. So please be aware of that. My colleagues in the Canadian government are trying to find ways to resolve this issue. Much of it has been resolved, but there are many which are left unresolved. Particularly coming from India, we are used to just queuing up in front of a doctor's clinic or a hospital and get medical attention. You may not be able to find the same here. Both to the students and their parents, मैं आप लोगों से गुजारिश करूंगा कि YouTube पर बहुत सारे ऐसे वीडियो हैं जो हमने अभी के जो स्टूडेंट्स उनसे कहकर डलवाया है कि उनका अपना एक्सपीरियंस क्या था, जब वो यहाँ आए तो क्या सोच कर आए और उन्होंने क्या फेस किया। उससे भी ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि जो उन्होंने फेस किया उसको किस तरह से ओवरकम किया। और ये चीजें अवेलेबल हैं YouTube पे। मैं आपसे गुजारिश करूंगा कि आप अपने बच्चों के साथ बैठकर उसको देखें, ताकि आप दोनों को ये पता लगे कि यहाँ पर रियल सिचुएशन क्या है। Again, while remaining on pre-departure, please dream those dreams which could be accomplished in Canada. Students come here with very different dreams, and once they land up in Canada, they do not see those dreams fructifying anytime sooner. They become quite restless, sometimes depressed, leading to unfortunate conditions which we have to deal with here. Now, this is all what I wanted to talk about pre-departure. Once you have decided that you want, after looking at all these things, to get recruited in a Canadian university or a Canadian college, then there are a few things post-arrival which I wanted to talk about. And one of them is, as soon as you land up, Believe me, in every small city or large city in Canada, there are Indian community associations. They may go by the name of the region, Gujarati Cultural Association, Punjabi Association, Bihari Jharkhand Association. They may go by name, but all of them are also catering to the wider Indian, new Indian immigrants in Canada. Please contact them as soon as you arrive here, so that you have the phone numbers you can reach out to if you need them. But also try to volunteer in those associations, so that you get acquainted to the larger Indian community in your city. When you volunteer, what you also learn is, how does Canada work? What are the things you should be looking at? What are the things which are completely divergent from practices in India? What are the things which are convergent with the Indian practices? And therefore, you'll be able to have a more meaningful life in the Canadian society once you do those volunteer works. So I'll highly encourage you to do volunteer works whenever you get time in Canada, so that you are well aware of the working and living conditions in Canada, because you'll be doing all these volunteer works outside your campus. So you will see the larger society. It's a very welcoming society, so don't get me wrong on that. But coming from a different cultural background, we still need to acquaint ourselves with the practices in Canada. Make good friends in your colleges and universities. Extremely important. They are your main support system, because they know when you are depressed, they know when you are happy, they know when you want to sing a karaoke of Bollywood song. They are your support system. So please make good friends and go along with them. And finally, before I close, we have one High Commission in Ottawa, from where I am speaking to you now. We have two consulates general, each in Toronto and Vancouver. It's a huge country and in geography, and therefore we are quite thinly spread in various provinces. But believe me, we are therefore helping you out in situations you unknowingly get into. There are phone numbers, there are email addresses. I would highly recommend you to take the email route and not so much the telephone route. Telephone lines are mostly busy because of 2.3 million Indians, 23 लाख भारतीय मूल के लोग यहाँ पर हैं. तो मैं ये आपको सजेस्ट करूंगा, पेरेंट्स को भी और स्टूडेंट्स को भी, कि ईमेल के जरिए हमें कांटेक्ट करें. और हमारा ईमेल एड्रेस जो हमारे वेबसाइट पर दे रखा है हम लोगों ने, उनको आप देखें. And please get to us through the email, so that we are able to assist you and your ward, or you and your kids in a way which is befitting to an Indian national. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nadira ji, for giving me this opportunity. I hope I was able to convey the main concept, the main crux of Indian international student coming to Canada. Thank you so very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Excellency, for those words. And I'm sure it's greatly benefited the students and their parents. All our students here, I would really encourage you to, as High Commissioner said, to email and to find out everything in advance, so that you're prepared when you reach Canada. If you have any problems, as he said, the email addresses are there. Please do reach out. We as a chamber are also going to be starting out a support number on which we can also help and support. High Commissioner, the chamber is here to support all that you are doing for students. And students, please realize how important you are both to the Indian and Canadian government. His Excellency, the High Commissioner, specially made time to be here to talk to you and your parents and give you a detailed idea and outline of both pre-departure and on arrival status. And also from the Canadian government, how concerned they are, we can see, because now we have with us Mr. Bruce Gunderson, who is Minister Migration and Area Director, South Asia at the High Commission of Canada and India. Bruce has been with Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, which is the IRCC, for over 31 years. And again, you know that with the demand for visas, the demand is so high in India for Canada that Bruce is normally just not, we are not even able to see him because he is totally underground with all these requests. But for you and for this event, this session, to be able to get this opportunity and chance to be able to help you and guide you in any way, he has given a lot of his time, not only now, but even yesterday, in trying to see what questions he could address. Today, he was here just to see that there are no technical glitches. So, just realize, please, how important you are to the government, both India and Canada. And please take advantage and reach out for any questions. Be fully prepared before you leave. Bruce, over to you. Thank you again for being here with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Nadira. And thank you very much, Your Excellency, High Commissioner Verma, because in fact, you have given very wise advice to our attendees today. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. I know that you are attending because you care about making a successful transition. And so I had other remarks, but I think the High Commissioner has in fact delivered many of them. So what I would like to do is instead to reinforce several key messages that he has already pointed out. He has pointed out the importance of planning and of planning your integration as well when you get to Canada. So I have really 4 main pieces of advice that I would like to focus on. So the first is, of course, if you haven't applied for a visa or to your educational institution, you must apply early. Applying early is key to being able to have an orderly planning process and being ready. You need to be doing your own research, making sure that you are doing your due diligence on all the requirements and to be able to fulfill your dreams. We want you to take personal responsibility for your application and its information and your journey as a student, and beware of false promises. So first of all, apply early. Demand to study in Canada remains very strong. At this moment in late July, study permits are being processed within about 2 months. Most students who will attend in September, the September semester, will have already applied. So that is that's probably the unfortunate news if you have not yet applied, but there will be other semesters. We really encourage everyone to think about applying early. This is on the planning side. Do your own research. To protect oneself against fraud, it's important to know the facts. So all student applicants to Canada should ensure that before they apply, they have an acceptance letter from a designated learning institution. The High Commissioner talked about DLIs, as they are known, and you need to be able to be sure that the course of study is what you are trying to obtain and that it will lead to the pathway that you expect. Please use the information and tools available from IRCC's official website to keep yourself informed. That website address is behind me, but all the information can be found there. I should say at this point that there have been unfortunate news stories. We've heard about cases of fraud. The Government of Canada takes any kind of immigration fraud very seriously, and we are very concerned about protecting prospective newcomers from those who would try to take advantage of them. We offer a number of resources on this website to help travelers and applicants from India to avoid becoming victims of fraud. The High Commissioner spoke in Hindi, and I can say that on that website there is information not only available in English and French, but also in Hindi, Punjabi, and Gujarati. So while I cannot give that information to you verbally today, you can find it on the website. The third piece of advice is you need to take personal responsibility for your application and your study journey. This is what is behind when the High Commissioner mentioned that there are those who would want to take advantage. You need to ensure that you have access to and understand what personal information is in your application. He mentioned that some consultants may offer to obtain documents for you. Be very, very careful about these kinds of things. You are responsible for anything that is submitted to the Government of Canada. You will be held accountable for it. So please be sure that it is your information and you should be able to have access to it. It should not be locked behind anyone else's login information. So if you choose to pay for advice or support with your program, or have someone advise you about completing the application, completing the forms, you are still responsible for what is submitted in your name. We really recommend that you establish and maintain direct contact yourself with your college or university and understand what your program requirements and fees are. The fees are very important. Get to know the International Student Services Office at the university. And as the High Commissioner mentioned, we strongly recommend to get involved and volunteer in the community to get to know about Canada. After you graduate, or if you change schools, you will have to apply to ensure to change your status documents, such as to update your study permit or to obtain a post-graduation work permit or permanent residence. It's very important. Those things do not happen automatically. You need to take initiative to make them happen. The High Commissioner stressed finances, and I must say this is very important. Please plan your personal budget very carefully about the plan before you undertake it. The fourth piece of advice is be aware and beware of false promises. No one can promise that you will receive a visa. If I told you that I could promise you a visa, I would in fact be lying. I cannot do it. So beware of anyone claiming that they can get a visa or special treatment because they know someone at the Government of Canada or at the High Commission or at IRCC. They do not have special connections with the Canadian government. Only authorized officers at Canadian embassies, high commissions, or consulates can decide whether or not to issue a study permit. As I said before, you don't have to hire an immigration agent or consultant to apply, but if you choose to hire one, you should understand exactly what services you're receiving and what fees are being charged. Insist on an itemized receipt. Stress that this is very important. Finally, if you hear about friends or classmates being defrauded or otherwise cheated by anyone, please suggest to them these pieces of advice. Contact the institution where you are studying or intend to study and let them know. Urge your friends to do their own research and find out what's best for them, and help them keep their dreams and themselves safe. Remember, acceptance to a college or university does not in itself guarantee a visa. Remember also that a visa in your passport is not a study permit. To study or work in Canada, you will need an appropriate status document. Some types of employment are permitted while you are studying. However, make sure that you verify the status document you apply for will enable you to undertake that activity. So with those caveats and cautions, I want to wish all the serious students the best of luck with their applications and their future studies. And I hope that if you choose Canada, you will have a safe experience and make a successful transition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much for all your words of advice. And, just want to again tell the students that we are very privileged to have Bruce Grandison with us, giving us his inputs. Please take advantage of it. And I also want to assure you, Bruce, that from the chamber, we are here to help and support any of your initiatives from IRCC. Anything what High Commissioner Verma said and what Bruce outlined is that, the financial part of it, the legal part of it, these are all very important aspects. And therefore, now we are going to be having a very interesting section with the distinguished speakers from the legal, industry, and financial domains. We have Scotiabank here, who will tell you all about financial frauds, help you to decide carefully when you are, using your money or how to, put your money safely while you're studying. Just before I hand it over to the panelists, I just want to acknowledge that we have with us Mr. Arun Pandya, who's the head of Air Canada in India. He is also part of this panel. He's joined us. So probably he wants to encourage that Air Canada is a safe airline to use going from India to Canada and coming back, of course. They are the only airline along with Air India, which have direct flights to Canada. So with this, I would now like to welcome and invite the moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. Vinay Chaudhary, who is the founder and CEO of Worldwide EduConnect. Vinay is also the Chamber's Overseas Director and is a co-founder of the India-Canada Alumni Network, ICANN. So probably once you have studied in Canada and come back, you will also join the alumni, which this is an organization that represents all alumni of Canadian institutions living in India. Vinay, thank you for helping us put the panel together. And with this, I hand it over to you and will request you also to introduce the panelists and then begin the discussion. Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you, Nadira. Being an international student myself, this topic is extremely important. I'm very passionate about it. I've been through this journey myself, and I'm aware of the financial challenges and also the cultural integration challenges that the students and the parents feel throughout this journey. It's unfortunate that there are certain people who take advantage of these vulnerable students, and it is actually more sad that a lot of the people who are taking advantage are from the same community of the students. So I would want to underline this thing that High Commissioner Verma and also Bruce, they mentioned that do your own research. It's very, very important. But in the interest of time, I just think that we should move on to the panel very fast because they are distinguished panelists who are waiting to share their expertise. Today we have three panelists who are joining us, and I've had an opportunity to work with them for a long period of time, and I know that they're all very, very passionate advocates for international student issues. So let me first begin with introducing Mr. Munshif Sherali, who is the Director of Consumer Segment Growth Strategy at Scotia Bank. And in his current role, Munsif is also responsible for multicultural banking strategy, which deals with all the newcomers, including international students, new immigrants. Most of you would know Scotia Bank has been working with international students from the start of this, SPP, SDS program. They were the first bank who started offering GIC as a product to international students. So Munsif brings with him a wealth of knowledge about all the financial issues that international students face. So without further ado, I would like to invite Munsif and also his colleague Hiteshwar Kochar, who is also an international student from Ivy Business School, to start with a presentation and make his presentation. Thank you.
Munsif, can I request you to unmute your mic?
Terribly sorry. Thank you. And thank you, Vinay, for that warm introduction. And thanks to Nadira and the esteemed guests for their insightful remarks, advice, and dialogue. I think our session here will be very much along the line of what we've heard today already around being well prepared, planning, and understanding particularly the financial navigation or the financial system here. As mentioned, my name is Munsif Sherali. I'm the Director for Multicultural Banking at Scotiabank. I'm joined today by Hiteshwar Kochar, who is our Senior Manager, and we'll be providing some practical and timely advice on how to plan your finances, how to avoid pitfalls, and how to get the most out of your education and financial experience here in Canada. I'll keep my remarks short and introductory in nature. I'll hand it off to Hitesh shortly. But seamless integration for newcomers is very important, not only to Canada, to the designated learning institutions that you'll be attending in the fall or thereafter, but also very much here at Scotiabank. We are very committed to being a partner for newcomers by providing them with the right financial products, services, and advice. We've taken a particularly vested interest in the journey of the international student. We've created a program called Start Right that has been in existence since 2008. It's a wholesome suite of banking solutions and products that help international students acclimatize to their new surroundings here in Canada, and hopefully to take that one last tick box off their to-do list when it comes to banking solutions. We've also taken a very vested interest in how we help international students transition or migrate to Canada through our participation as one of the pioneers of the GIC product. So we take great pride in being able to provide those types of solutions for our customers, particularly international students. We see the future, we see the opportunity that international students have here in Canada. We welcome them. We make sure that we provide them with the right advice, not only from a financial perspective, but also from kind of a holistic viewpoint in terms of how you'll transition into your new life here. And it is a very, I won't say difficult, but challenging one, where you're trying to manage not only your studies, but your social network, and also being acclimatized in a new country. So we understand the challenges that come with that. We're here to help you establish. And with that, I'll pass it off to Hitesh, who will take us through a very short deck here to help you understand some of the financial mistakes to avoid and what advantages you can have banking through Scotiabank. Hitesh?
Thanks a lot for that, Munsif. I'm particularly excited to be here because for all of those who are about to start their journey in Canada or who are considering it, I've been in your shoes and I know how overwhelming it can be. It's not easy. It's not about moving to a new neighborhood. You're moving to a new country. You're moving to a new continent. So there's a lot that goes on in that process. And through the experience of our colleagues, through the experience of the individuals who we bank with and the customers that we support, we've understood what it takes to, what are the common pitfalls that come along that way. And we want to help you ensure that you don't fall in the same category and you are able to avoid those. As His Excellency High Commissioner Verma said, and Bruce shared, there are so many pieces of advice which are so valuable, and you want to make sure that when it comes to your money and banking, you're able to make the right decisions as you go forward. There are frauds out there, but we're here to protect you. So let's start off with some of the common mistakes that we see. This has been spoken about so much, and I'm so glad it was stressed on so much, because creating a budget for your life in Canada is absolutely crucial. You have to account for the money that you spend towards your tuition, your living expenses, and other expenses that come with it. Yes, at some stage, you will also start taking up a job and you'll have some sort of an income, but it is so important to ensure that you've got that planned out. My recommendation to you, just take a note of everything that you spend and everything that you get in. You'll be in a good place. Next is building your credit history. I think that is absolutely crucial as you build your life out in Canada. You'll understand the importance of this once you land here, how to make sure that you pay your credit card bills on time, how to make sure that you're not involved in any sort of fraud, and some of the common pitfalls that come with it. Credit history becomes your bedrock for a happy life in the future, because it helps you get access to better credit. It helps you get access to better loans as you evolve in your life here. The last thing that I want to touch on, which I found most important and is absolutely crucial, is do not shy away from asking for help. This is one of the things that you have to, it is a new country. You're new to this country. You'll be new to a completely new system and social system and banking system. You need to go to the right people for the right advice. At the bank specifically, when you arrive into our branches, you will find people who've gone through that journey just like you will. And that's where you want to step up and ask the right questions. Do not shy away from that. Next, we've of course spoken about fraud, and we've spoken fraud that happens before you arrive to Canada and after you arrive. One thing that I want to point out specifically that I wanted to mention was fraudulent investment directions. When you buy a GIC, which is a guaranteed investment certificate to show proof of funds in Canada, make sure that you're able to take that guaranteed investment certificate and share it with the bank. Reach out to us. Let us know that you've made this investment and ask us if it's valid or not. This is the hard-earned money of your parents and yours, and you want to make sure that it's kept safe. Next is post-arrival. Once you arrive here, there are issues that everyone faces and all countries have. You will hear the usual phone fraud, text fraud, email fraud, and phishing. But you'll also come across individuals who understand that newcomers, and especially international students, are naive, and they might want to give you fake apartment rentals or bogus job offers. You will get a lot of that. But beware, as long as you understand that anything that looks fishy, you want to ensure that you firstly recognize it, you reject it, and of course, most importantly, you report it. We at the bank are here for you. Also, the Canadian government and the embassy is here for you. And as Nadira ji said, there's also a helpline that will be started by the chamber. So there's so many avenues for you to access. Just don't shy away from it when you feel that you're being defrauded or you're in trouble. Next, I want to talk about what happens even before you arrive. So there are ways to safeguard at least your finances before you arrive in the country. The Scotiabank Student GIC program is one of those ways where you can transfer all your funds even before you leave your country. And every month, just like you get pocket money, the bank will give back your money to you with interest to make sure that you're able to meet your expenses throughout the week, throughout the month. This is a great way to ensure that you're able to save money and you're not misusing it in any way, and it arrives safely from the time that you send it from India. Next is international account opening. This is also a very interesting tool where you don't even have to be in the country to open an account. India is part of this program, and it allows you to open an account and deposit up to $50,000 into your account here in Canada. These are funds that are kept safe, and once you land in the country, you walk into a branch, you get the right support to help get access to these funds. Next, once you're here, I think the most important part of this, and I've stressed on this before, is the transition. When you're transitioning into a new country, you walk into a new branch, you will find people like yourself who've gone through this journey and who understand the pain and the effort that it takes to come here and what it takes to adjust in the new country altogether. So when you come into a branch, you'll be greeted by someone who speaks your language, who understands your journey. And that is an important part of your experience as you land in Canada. As his High Commissioner Verma said, this is a wonderful country. It's a multicultural country where you are welcomed. People from all over the world are welcome. So you want to make sure that you ensure that you're able to find support, at least when it comes to your banking needs. We have a very exciting program for students, especially, which is catered to students and your needs. We have rewards which cater to your day-to-day needs. So think about groceries, think about movie tickets, think about travel. There's a lot of benefits that you get when you bank with Scotia. The total value is close to $640 once you start your bank account, and you don't pay any fees once you set up your account with us for the first year that you're with us. Next, I want to talk to you about a few resources. So at the bank, we are extremely passionate about how we support our customers and ensure that we're able to give them all the right tools and resources. I can't stress enough on the financial literacy piece. Navigating the Canadian banking system can be difficult. It's a new environment, and you want to make sure that you understand the nuts and bolts of it. We have a bunch of resources online, and you must go online to scotiabank.startright.com and find some of these resources. These are going to tell you everything from how to write a check to how to budget, and also to figure out different aspects of the banking system. What does a checking account mean? What does a saving account mean? What is the impact and why do you need it? So those are important aspects that I highly stress on. Of course, it also gives you some guidance on how to settle in Canada, how to make it home, how to make sure that you're able to find the right housing accommodation, how to use public transit, how to take care of your health and your wellness. Of course, once you're done with your program or while you're studying, you also might want to look at jobs and build a career. We have some support for you on that as well. And last but not the least, fraud awareness and prevention. This is the topic of this conversation, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this and highlighting this. Take this to your friends as well and others who you know who are moving with you. Ensure that you're able to provide them the right kind of support. You can reach out to us at Scotiabank or any of the banks for that matter, and ensure that you're able to get the right support. Like I said, don't shy away from walking into the door and asking all the silly questions you want, because none of them are silly. So go ahead and do that. With that, I want to thank you for this opportunity and really appreciate the chance to share some of our experiences, my journey, and also what we do here at the bank for international students.
Thank you so much, Munsif and Hiteshwar. This was very valuable. I would like to invite the other two panelists, Stephen Green and Denny Greval. Stephen Green is a senior partner at Green and Spiegel, which is one of the leading law firm in Canada. And Stephen has been practicing immigration law for over 30 years. So he brings wealth of knowledge. He's considered to be an expert and had held several positions at Canadian Bar Association and also with Seneca College. He's been a lecturer. Denny is a good friend of mine, and he's a co-founder of a company called Devan, which is a part of Academica Group, and they have been helping international students to get employable skills and get jobs, legitimate jobs. He has a long career in leading workforce development with various colleges, including Fanshawe, Humber, Seneca. So without, looking at the time, I'll just start directing some questions. So for my first question would be for Stephen. Again, Stephen, can you, I think a lot of students who are looking to come to Canada are also looking forward to being in PR. So can you share what are the different pathways if you're an international student to get into a PR, and what are the things that they need to avoid if they really want to be successful in this journey?
Great, thank you, Vinay. Well, it's very, very important, as you've heard from many of the speakers here today, to take responsibility for your application. Every document that you give to immigration, you are saying it is a valid, honest, and truthful document. So you must never, ever go ahead and send in blank forms and say, sorry, I don't know, the agent did it for me. Because if you're thinking about a pathway for immigration, Canada Immigration looks at your history. It's important to make sure, of course, that you always go to a designated learning institution and make sure that that particular designated learning institution provides you with the ability to get a work permit after graduating, because not all of them do. So you must watch out for that. And then you would be eligible perhaps under the Canada Express Entry System, which is a pathway for many students that have Canadian work experience to get immigration. But again, you must be conscious of the type of job that you are doing when you accept this postgraduate work permit. And also, very important, where a lot of students get into difficulty, is that they are not permitted to begin working with this postgraduate ability that they get until they have filed their actual application for a postgraduate work permit. So if you graduate from school and you say, well, I'm going to wait about 2 weeks, I'll do stuff, but I'm starting to work right now, that can make you ineligible to get immigration to Canada because you have worked illegally, and it can cause you some great difficulties. So really the pathway for immigration for most students are the express entry, and for a limited amount of our science and tech and engineering people, we have a startup visa program, which is about an innovative startups that some of the students may have while they have been in school or created after they've gone to school. So those are really the two pathways.
Oh, thank you. You touched upon the jobs, and I know Denny has been working in helping students finding jobs. So Denny, I wanted to ask you, even when they are in India or their home countries, what should the international students be aware about the job demand in Canada, and how does it fit in their decision to choose the program? I know High Commissioner Verma also alluded to it. So can you please share what is your perspective on that?
Thank you so much, Vinay, and thank you, High Commissioner Bruce from IRCC, Nadira from your organization, Scotiabank, Stephen for providing some great information. I'm from Devant, where we help international students stay, work, and succeed. And we work with over 20,000 international students and alumni at various colleges and universities across Canada. What's important for you to understand is the Canadian labor market, because you need to choose a program of study that once you graduate, there is going to be labor market demand. And what I've done for you in the next 2 slides is we have access to a database of all the job postings across Canada. And what in the data for the last year shows that we have 491,000 jobs were posted across Canada. And from those job postings, these are the top cities where jobs are being posted. So Toronto all the way down to Markham. So not only are there a lot of jobs in Canada, 500,000 jobs that were posted, but these are the top cities where companies are posting jobs. Now, one of the things about Canada is that 80% of the jobs are not posted. So that means that when you're looking for jobs, more than likely the jobs that you're looking for are not going to be posted on Indeed, Monster, and the various websites. They're going to be done through networking. So you need to develop networking skills, and that's and the first thing you should be doing before you come to Canada is to have a very good LinkedIn profile, because that's how recruiters will reach out, is through your LinkedIn profile. So if I go back to my to the data, let me go back here. Just have to go back and restart. These are the top job titles out of those 500,000 job postings that we have access to. These are the top job titles that where there are jobs. So project managers, financial analysts, nursing, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying here, Vinay, is that you need to have a really good sense of where are the jobs in Canada, and then look at what program of study will allow me to get that job, and also look at your own experience and your own education in your home country, and do I have the skills, and is this an area of study that I want to pursue before I come to Canada? So I hope that makes sense, Vinay.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Denny, for bringing out this research as well. I'm sure a lot of students will really appreciate it. So coming back to Stephen, again, you know, we hear a lot about students being exploited because they are working for cash. So when they're looking for a job, whether it's part-time or full-time, so what do you think that they should keep in? What are the things that they should keep in mind, you know, when they are looking at the employment letter, and what are their rights as being, you know, employees?
Well, Vinay, when you say they're working for cash, they are entitled to receive something called a social insurance number in Canada, where they can be paid properly, pay the proper taxes. So I recommend that everyone get one of those. As Bruce has indicated, you must check your document to make sure that you're entitled to work in Canada. And you must also examine your situation to make sure you're entitled to work in Canada. And once you've done all that, and then you decide you're going to go and work, Canada, like so many other countries around the world, have laws to protect workers. So you can use the normal laws to protect workers, but immigration's done a wonderful thing. They were concerned about this exact situation you're talking about, Vinay, when foreign nationals come to Canada and they work for Canadian employers. Immigration says Canadian employers, in some circumstances, you even have a higher obligation to protect the foreign workers. So there's legislation set up in our immigration laws that protect you as a student who is working for a Canadian employer. And if the employer is not giving you a proper environment to work in, taking advantage of you, you can contact immigration, and that employer can be financially penalized. That employer can be barred from even hiring foreign workers in the future. And the really interesting thing, some people won't think it is that important, but I think it's probably the scariest thing in the legislation, is that if an employer is found to be not a good employer, their name is published on a government website saying this is a bad employer. So we really look at the situation of protecting students that are working. And quite candidly, in some respects, they even have more rights than permanent residents or Canadians.
That's so good to hear, especially in context of international students who are coming sometimes from a country where they don't trust the system to protect themselves. I think we are all here to assure them that the Canadian system is quite robust, and you just have to reach out to the right people, and there's always somebody who's going to help you and protect you.
And Vinny, I could just add one thing, that our law is so strong to help the students that are working that sometimes immigration will even give you a special work permit where you've spoken up and the employer has done something difficult. So they give you special work permits when you're a vulnerable worker. So there's some really good opportunities, opportunities to use our law to protect these students.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Denny, what can students do? We want everybody to have a legitimate job, but what are the Canadian employers looking for? What can they do now to make themselves more employable in this system?
A good question, Vinay. There are two types of skills that employers are looking for. One is the hard skills. So these are the skills that you would get in school. So these are skills that can be accredited. But employers are also looking at your soft skills, your business skills, your human skills. So how do you communicate? Are you a critical thinker? Are you creative? Are you collaborative? So those are the skills that employers are particularly looking for, because they want to make sure that you understand the Canadian workplace culture. So from a pre-arrival, you need to get into your mind that it's not only your hard skills, but it's your soft skills that employers are going to be looking at. And High Commissioner did mention the whole notion of soft skills, to be able to build your soft skills. And one of the ways to do this is to volunteer for organizations like that. You get to know how we work here in Canada. So there's hard skills and there's your soft skills. The other big skill employers are looking for are your digital skills. So, and by digital skills, they mean, are you able to use Excel? And Excel from a point of view of, are you able to analyze data? And are you able to visualize data and take your data and put it into a presentation? So those are the three areas that we see that are very important for you to think about before you come to Canada. Your hard skills. So those are your education in coming to Canada, getting into the right program that will lead to a job. Then there'll be your soft skills, your communication, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and your digital skills.
Thank you, Denny. We are running out of time, so I just want to give the panelists, an opportunity to share their advice or do's or don'ts, whatever they want. Let's go with Stephen.
Sure. I guess the biggest thing that we see in our practice is people using unscrupulous, bad immigration agents out in India. Please, you don't need to use an agent to go to school in India. You can deal directly in so many cases with the school. And if you decide to use an agent, confirm everything that they have told you and they provided you. Because unfortunately, the Canadian government doesn't have any authority on these agents that are working in India. Even if they're a registered immigration consultant out in India now, they changed the law that anyone can be an immigration consultant. So be very, very careful when you're out there and confirm everything. And, as Bruce has said, it's your responsibility. You can contact the school. You can contact Scotiabank. Is this all legit? So that's my biggest advice that I would tell everyone out there.
Denny?
And from my perspective, is that there's a lot of things you can do before you come to the country. The fact that you are here attending this webinar, parents, you are here to educate so that your child or children are making good decisions. that is a good first step. I also highly recommend that you get good labor market data so that you know where the jobs are. Look at your skills, look at your own education, your background, then pick a program of study that will lead you to, in your postgraduate work permit, an opportunity for you to work, and then your pathway to PR, and line yourself up with organizations like Scotiabank and with Stephen Green and his associates. In Canada, we're a welcoming country. We do welcome immigration. And we are very supportive. However, you need to do your homework and do due diligence. And I'd like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to speak to you today.
Thank you, Denny and Stephen. It has been a privilege to kind of talk to you today, and we look forward to working with both of you and Scotiabank and IRCC, and of course the Indian High Commission here to take several other initiatives to protect the interests of international students. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll just now pass over to Nadira for the closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinay. I think no closing remarks are needed. We've had such a fabulous session. Thank you once again to High Commissioner Sanjay Kumar Verma for not only addressing everyone, students and parents, but staying on for the entire session and being with us through this whole event. Thank you, High Commissioner. I know you have another meeting, but thank you for staying on. Thank you also to Bruce for staying through the entire session, and to all the panelists. I think Arun Pandya from Air Canada is here, and I think he just wants to probably say a word to the students. Arun, do you have a quick word for the students before we close?
Fantastic session, I must say. High Commissioner Verma was outstanding, and so was Bruce, so were the other panelists. And I can see Stephen Green, my good friend, also on this session. His words are always words of wisdom, which are very, very valuable. Coming to Air Canada, we have daily flights from Delhi and seasonal flight in winter from Mumbai to Canada. Importantly, for the students, it is most important that you take away whatever everybody has said, because your first real scrutiny happens when you reach the airport to check in at the counters to travel to Canada to join your studies. Every document that you carry on a student visa is scrutinized pretty closely by the check-in staff. And that is where it is the moment of truth that all the panelists have spoken about, that do not fall for any scrupulous person or agency where you get defrauded or something like that, because that can hold you back and you will not be able to travel. So that is the most important message I would like to give. And to add that Air Canada has non-stop direct flight from India to Canada. So we are looking forward to welcoming you when you are ready to travel to Canada for your aspiration to study in Canada. Thank you very much, Nadira.
Thank you. Thank you, Arun. Thank you, everyone. And all the very best to all you students. I hope you have a hassle-free, stress-free, and very safe journey and to Canada, and hope you can realize all your dreams and hopes. This is an outstandingly done webinar.